wants to destroy a whole country because of religion. Unbelievable. It's important for me, myself, it's important that people should know about it. The danger of not knowing is very, very bad. It's catastrophic, practically. There's no limit to it. There's no limit to people which won't like horror. There's no limit to people which kill for the fun or just of killing. There's enough hurt for one person of a lifetime, or maybe of 100 persons. It's enough how much hurt I got it. They cannot hurt me anymore.
Prisoner 143425, Felix Opatowski, a Polish Jew and a survivor. 64 years after the Second World War and the Holocaust, traveled back to revisit his past.
My kids think it's his dad. He said, we know you cannot be stupid to survive what you did. Why do you do this? Why are you doing this to us? We have to worry about you. And I know they're right. But there's something in me. Could be a guilt. Maybe I have a kind of a guilt that I survived and so many didn't.
Felix was born in the Polish city of Lodz. Here, Felix, his parents, and younger brother lived a simple life.
Well, it was like most of the families. Just they tried to get by day at a time. My father, when he was a youngster, about a young man, between 15 and 18 years old, his father, my grandfather, had a farm. It's about 50 kilometers away from Lodz. He says, you better go down there. He says, all the young people going down there and they're getting a job in the industrial thing, and they're working, they're making a living, but I think it's much better than farming. So that's what he did. He came to Lodz and started working in a factory. We were a very happy family. I was the oldest one, and I had a brother which was 5 years younger, and that was it. We were happy. We didn't have lots of things what other people do, but we were a happy family. We didn't starve, because my father worked double shifts, and very rarely I seen him. I've seen him on Sundays. And I was going to school, and my brother was growing up, and once in a while we were going to the farm, visit my farm and bring some goodies from the farm. In that time, in the 30s, the whole world was depression at that time, especially in Poland.
Felix returned to the home where he grew up in Lodz.
Here, when I was a kid, we were playing cowboys and Indians, and from down there we were jumping down to this place here. This was the place to jump down. So one day before holidays, my mother and my father took out the mattress to clean it out for Easter holidays. Once a year you cleaned out. So she took out the mattress and put it down here. So I said, oh my gosh, when we're going to jump down now, it's not going to be so hard when I'm going to put the mattress down here. So I called all my friends, and a few minutes here, we went up again, And we start jumping down. My mother comes out. She starts screaming, and she took that what you. There was a Russian Jewish officer which ran away from Russian army. His name was Jabotinsky. He was the leader of all the Jews in the world in that time. And he came one day to Lodz. That was in 1937, 38, and he told them what's going really on. The mood was very bad after what he told us. As a matter of fact, when I came home and I told my father, Jabotinsky said that we should all run away from where we are, and if we don't have where to go, we should at least go to the Russian side. So he says, what? He says, you must be kidding. So I says, but he says so. Don't you think he was right? He says, yeah, I know, but I don't know where to run. I can't go to Germany, and I would like to go to Russia either. I was done a few hours, a few days, because quite of my friends did run away to Russia. As a matter of fact, if you met my wife, she did run with her family to Russia, okay? And they survived in Siberia. Wasn't easy, but at least you weren't threatened with guns, and you weren't threatened with a gas chamber.
By the end of 1939, the Germans had begun organizing the ghetto. Felix and his family were forced from their home.
Lots of people which don't know too much about the ghetto or even about the Holocaust, they think that the ghetto was a place to live. Yes, it was a place to live, but sometimes in the ghetto was worse time than in the camps. In my opinion, it was the worst time of my life. At the beginning in the ghetto, there was no food altogether. There was about approximately between 200 and 250,000 Jews living in Lodz. And it was almost about 900 or 1 million people altogether. When we came into the ghetto, my mother took us to the place where she was born. She remembered the place, and when it was holiday, she used to come to visit them. So they let us in, because they were already full with people inside.
Elsewhere in Poland, Regina, the future wife of Felix, witnessed the harshness of anti-Semitism firsthand.
I was standing in line to get some bread, and the German people told me, you cannot stay in line here because you're Jewish. Well, I tell you, I convinced them that I have an Italian father and mother. That's why I looked out. And right there, I overheard they're gonna burn the synagogue down at the same night. And sure enough, I wouldn't let my family out of the house, and they burned down the synagogue with everybody in them.
The Lodz ghetto was lucky enough to have they called it in German, they called the oldest of the Jews, sort of like a Bürgermeister. You know the Bürgermeister, like a mayor of a city. That's in German is Bürgermeister, mayor of the city. His name was Rumkowski. He was, before the war, he ran an orphanage. So they came into his office just a few days after the war started, and they point out to him, I'm talking about Rumkowski now. So they point out to him and he says, you, he doesn't know what they mean. You're gonna be the chief of the Jews in the ghetto. And lots of people didn't like him because he put the police together, he put the firemen together, he put everything together because he needs it. But they didn't like it because they seen Jewish police, and they thought, look at that, he wants to now be a big shot. He has police, but somebody has to do something. You just cannot be there around. People cannot just run around wild on the street. And he was running the ghetto for the longest ghetto in history in the war, in World War II. Because Warsaw was started in 1940. and they had an uprising in 1943. So Warsaw was about 3 years, but Lodz Ghetto was 4 years. August 1944, the ghetto was sent into Auschwitz. That's when it was liquidated, the whole ghetto. And that was just about it with the Lodz Ghetto, because of this one man. This life was really impossible. It was like such a bad dream. It's such a bad time that I don't know how, I really don't know how anybody could survive. And I'm talking about me, I'm talking all the survivors. So he organized with other guys to be smugglers. What did the smugglers do? They're getting a little bit of jewelry, a little bit money, American money, whatever. As long as it's not Polish money or German money, this was no good. And you jump up the fence, you jump the fence, and you're running down to Polish houses, and they're waiting for guys like us, yes, because that's the living, that's really a living they can make. They sell you the bread and they sell you bad thing, but you had to have a petty. And that's what I was doing for a little while, and I brought home goodies till one day they caught us and they start shooting at us. One of my friends got shot. We were only injured, but he got shot. But I was lucky that the Jewish police caught me when they were chasing us, took away everything what we have, and they arrested us. The jailer that was in charge of it was one jailer in charge. And he told everybody, or his colleagues told everybody, that we're going to go on a transport in a few days or so. And he says, if you have a chance to tell your family. So my mother found out about it. She came over. And a few days later, we walked all the way to the railway. And they took us by a train. But we didn't know where we were going. We stand squished together. It took about between close to 100 people around a little thing like that. You could only standing room have. You couldn't even fall down if you want to fall down. And if you had to go standing, because there was no place to move, nothing. It wasn't a very pleasant drive with the cattle car.
While looking through the transport documents at the station, someone in the group found Felix's name on one of the lists.
Felix Opatowski, Fischel, that's me.
Do you know my name? We have found.
You found my name.
Oh my God! Your name?
Yeah. Just a minute, where is this?
Opatowski Felix. Fiso.
Fischel, yes. That's
Yes.
the Jewish
Oh my
Fischel.
God.
So these things, those things is not easy to get through it when your body and your soul and all things is already poisoned with these things. And then all of a sudden you see my name and from where I come from. They even have the street and the number of the house where I came from in the ghetto to go on the transport to the first camp. And knew that my mother's name was on a different paper, which goes to the gas chamber down there. So it doesn't do you any good. I had to fight with myself not to faint. Going into the wagon train, which standing down there's a momentum. The Polish government left it for the Jews going to come, they want to make a prayer. This was the wagon which was taking these people to the gas chamber. They put you in together, squeeze it tight, and that's about it. I was so tensed. I was very tense at that. And besides, it was only one night of going. Have a night, one night. You can't imagine, which is very hard for anybody, a person, imagine the hardship, the hunger, and the knowing that you're not going to survive. And that's why lots of people committed suicide. There was no facilities to go out. There was no pails to to do something. And besides, it was only one night, but it was bad because before we boarded it, quite a few hours took it, and thinking of my mother and my brother. I'm sure that my mother and my brother, or maybe both of them, or one of them probably had to spend his last few hours in this palace here, knowing already, because everybody in the ghetto know if they send you to hell from here, they know where they're going. They knew it already in that time. Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Umay. And this prayer today is because I have never been, since I was liberated so many years, since I've been in one of these, I never been before again, and now I know where my mother and my brother died, if either died in the ghetto or here. And if it wasn't for my mother, for the rest of the Jewish people which went to the gas chamber, to the in Helm. That's where they transported the ghetto people, was with this train and with this wagon. It was almost daytime when we came into the camp, and that was our first camp. The name of the camp was the White Eagle in English. In Polish was Biały Orzeł, and in German was the Weiße Adler. Our work in that camp was very, very hard. You had to go into a river and stay in the river all day working, in the river. Doesn't matter the weather, till the snow came around. Then we cleared the road from the snow and ice because of the trucks which were going to the Russian front. And they were dying, the guys were dying left and right. We came in, we were at least about a couple thousand of us. And by the time we left, almost 2 years later, was only a few hundred. Either we died working, either we died from starvation, or we died from other things. They liquidated the Weiße Adler. They took us into Auschwitz. Right now, we are just about, I would say, maybe 5 kilometers away from Auschwitz camp. What I think it is, maybe a little more, a little less. And I can feel already, in me already the power of Auschwitz, which swallowed so many innocent lives which never had a chance to live fully, swallowed them for only one reason, because they believed in different religion than other people. There were children, there were babies, there were pregnant mothers. Whatever you can visualize and whatever you can think of will never be enough what really happened in these few years in Auschwitz. And I can feel it right now. I can feel it, the powerful wind from Auschwitz, which spread out right over the whole world. Now the whole world knows about Auschwitz. That's the power what Auschwitz has, and it's a good lesson for a lot for everybody, I guess, to think twice about the commandment where God said, "You shall not kill." But one thing I remember, a few times, seeing children, small children walking out of the train from the station, holding toys, their toys, or somebody giving them toys, whatever toys. The bigger ones holding by the hand, the little ones, and singing songs, Jewish songs, Hebrew songs, and the songs from their country. And singing, walking right into the gas chamber. You know what this does to you? When I close my eyes with this, I can never sleep. So now we're coming into Auschwitz. It took a little while. No food, no water, no anything. The only thing, the difference was that they put a pail for the latrine. And because they knew it's going to be a few days and a few nights, because they were going from one camp to another. I think it was 2 days and 3 nights or vice versa. We were very happy to get out. We're going out, and all of a sudden, headlights and a loudspeaker. And it says, and it says on the loudspeaker, it says, in a few minutes these trucks will stand. Have you seen here? We didn't see any trucks because it's night. And the headlight special comes at you. Then these trucks gonna put on lights, and they're gonna start up the trucks, and all of you have to run up to the trucks. And who doesn't run up to the trucks gonna be shot. I would say about 10, 12, 15 trucks. And everybody was jumping on these trucks to get away. How many went in the trucks, I never know. What happened to them, I don't know.
And they were running there because you thought that was the trip to safety. Right?
Yeah. And the rest of us, which couldn't make it, we the one was supposed to be killed. Won't figure them out. But I should know already in that time. I've been in that time already 3 years under them, under the yoke of the Germans. No, something like this. And it doesn't matter what you were doing and how good you worked, how hard you worked. And they had just had one goal only. To liquidate all the Jews of Europe. They almost succeed. It doesn't matter what somebody's going to say. We were in good shape, but who wants to die? So the talk starting moving, I think a pistol shot it out or something, and everybody started running. And I started running too. And I'm coming already on to close that truck, and the guys holding out the hand won't help me. I can't make it. I can't make one truck, I can't make the other truck. I was weak. And so on, the truck's gone, and we stay in behind. We are ready to be executed, like the gun said. I mean, they really don't give idle threats, these guys. And they take us on to the shower. Then we came to a shower. Hey, if we're getting a shower and we're getting clothes, we're not going to be shot. So we're really happy. We were just going down with the hat on. We don't care where we're going. Now they line us up to get the number on the hand. And that was all prisoners which were given. Then he calls one guy up, you, raus. So he moves out from the line and he says in German to him, what is your name? So he gives him the name, like everybody else. So So he slugs them down with the other side of the gun. Slugs him once, slugs another time. He fell down on the ground and he kicked him a few times. The guy is almost unconscious. Then he says to him, "This was not your name. You are a Jewish liar." He showed him, "This is your name," because we had already put this on. "From now on, this is your name. And take a good look, guys." He went to do this to him to make an example of God. "And take a good look, guys. You want to look like him? If you forget this number, what you got on the arm and on your uniform, you're finished." And so finally they took us to a whole camp where they called it the quarantine. Under quarantine, you work very hard, very little food, and if you survive 3 months in quarantine, they take you back to the main camp, which is in Birkenau, and the main camp is number D, the D camp they call it. The guys who are now a little bit longer, they show you the chimney, and they said, "That's the only way to get out of here, to the chimney." I couldn't understand what he's talking about, because is any normal people ever heard of this before? And I'm already a year and a half or 2 in the ghetto, and 2 years there, and that wasn't enough. I had to have more. I had to have Auschwitz. So then I start, little by little, I started already believing in this story, that story, this story, that story, and I think to myself, my gosh, I thought the Weiße Adler was better. I thought the ghetto was better. At least my parents went there, my brother was there. This here, how can anybody get out of this one? And everybody said, you can't get out of that. They got your number and you can't get out of that. To go through a day of work wasn't easy. And if it was snowing or raining, you get wet. Where are you going to go? You have to stay. The foreman, which took you to work, they're hiding someplace where they don't have to get wet. You get wet. Then you came to the barrack all wet. What are you going to do? You want to hang up your clothes? You don't, because they steal it. It was between 5 and 6 guys on a bunk. Yeah, one level. I usually have the top ones. I didn't mind to have my own lies to fight with, but I didn't want somebody else's when they spread on you. That's an oven.
An oven?
Yeah, that's an oven. They put in you make the fire down there. They have a chimney goes out down there, and they have the same thing there as this one, and another chimney goes out here. My thing was approximately after this post. You see this post, the first or the second, because I cannot tell because of this. This is closed. First or the second, right on top with Jacob Bartman, another 3 guys. And the guy for I play chess was a little bit farther in the middle. This place here was a house, a farmhouse. The Germans were sealed this farmhouse to try out the gas. Okay. How much time, how much gas they needed, how long it takes till the people die in it. And at the same time, while they're trying this out, they had a chance to kill about between 200 and 300 Jews at one time. And here, across the street, they were buried in ditches. That's why they call this the ditch. And they throw in the bodies to the ditch, and of course they put all you need, a human being only needs a little bit fire underneath and keeps them burning all the time. This was burning all the time. Now, while they were waiting, they heard screaming, people being gassed in this little house because that was a tryout. So the people didn't die very fast in that one. And the crematorium, they died fast. The crematorium, they took them about I think they say between 7 and 8 minutes, something. So now, when they heard them screaming, these people know there's something wrong. So now when they opened them up, the gas came out and the fumes came out and they seen everything was going on. Now can you imagine them several thousand of families waiting down their turn to go in here. So they rebelled. They rebelled for some reason, they didn't want to go and move. So the SS came around with motorcycle and whatever it was and mowed them all down. This was my work. Between these two wires, sometimes were double, sometimes was on a single. They called it the neutrale zone in German. That means neutral ground. This ground has to be cleaned from ice and snow in winter time, and summertime from weeds that they shouldn't interfere with the electric wires. But most of the time, between 20, 15, 60, maybe 100 bodies were hanging around every day. And I was the one, and I was the one who had to take the bodies up. And there were special people which going around with the wagons and put them down and put them to the crematorium. Every day. Some people were throwing rocks just to check it out if it's still electrified, except they didn't know one thing. Nobody knew. I didn't know in the beginning either. In daytime, there was no electricity in these wires, but nobody knew it. I mean, the only time they knew was to grab it, and everybody was afraid to grab it, right? And at nighttime, that's where they put the electric thing on, when they went off. Because at nighttime they couldn't see it. They have lights of things, but still couldn't see it. And at nighttime, when they committed suicide, at evening, they just went out of the barrack, catch it on, finito. And all over the camp, we were going around and doing this kind of a work. And because of this, the Polish underground volunteered me to work for them, if you understand that volunteering me. When they give an order, you have to do it.
Felix found himself now involved with the Polish underground and with the mastermind of what would be the only armed uprising against the Germans in Auschwitz. Captured British officer Charles Coward, also known as the Count of Auschwitz, needed other prisoners to help transport the dynamite smuggled from the factory known as Buna, or Monowitz, a nearby subcamp of Auschwitz, where prisoners worked, producing fuel and synthetic rubber. And soon Felix was enlisted, smuggling dynamite destined to blow up the crematoriums.
They instructed us, if a British officer gonna talk to you, if you understand what he's talking about, it's not important, but just pretend that you understand and nod with your head, or he tell you to do something, just play along. The underground needed somebody to approach was inside. I was smuggling dynamite from Buna to the camp. It was 5, 6 guys like me, the runners they call it, which can come in and take the package away. So when I got the package and we went by it, and I told the foreman or the SS that I have to go to the washroom, well, he has no choice, he has to let me go to the washroom. So I go to the washroom, took the package out and put it next to me. And then a woman, not a man, a woman had to knock at the door right after that she wants to come in. But there was only one person at a time. Then I go out, she comes in, take the package, and smuggles it into the camp. This dynamite has to go into the camp D, where the crematoriums are, because the plan was to blow up the crematoriums. I don't know how long this was going on. Nobody told me. Maybe they didn't know themselves. Save up enough dynamite to blow up 2 crematoriums.
October 7th, 1944. The uprising planned by Charles Coward and the Polish underground took place. However, not everything went as planned.
Something somewhere got wrong. You know, an uprising to make, put together, is not so easy. And they're supposed to blow up all the 4 crematoriums, because it was 4 modern crematoriums. But the other 2, either the dynamite didn't blow up, because they were keeping it underground. Either blow up because wet, or maybe they didn't have a chance to give it, who knows?
Blowing up the crematoriums was just one part of the plan. The Polish army was to attack the Germans, allowing the prisoners to escape, yet the attack never came.
The Polish army couldn't make him, or didn't want to make him in. They had to come in from around, they had to get assembled from around. The guys in Auschwitz, they was waiting. So they see nobody comes around, so they ran out to the wire, cut the wire, and they ran out. But they ran into the fire. All the place where they ran was around with SS, laying around on the ground, or being looked like a ordinary man, ordinary fireman. You couldn't get out. The only way you could have got out by power. They're supposed to come in, and they're supposed to this army kill the all SS which were down there, and get all the ammunition what was down there, and then blow up the ammunition and burn out these things. But didn't succeed. But they succeed in closing up 2 crematoriums, one of them for 6 weeks, one of them for 2 weeks. Number 1 was only for 2 weeks, not in order. Number 2 was 6 weeks, not in order. And number 3 or 4 was burned to the ground. Then these guys, which worked inside, they got so mad that the other blew up. They burned to the ground 3 and 4. Or to the ground. They killed them all, of course. These guys really commit suicide. This is the end of Auschwitz, of Endbergenau. See the wires there? And the guys which burned down, this wasn't dynamite. This crematorium was burned down by the inmates. And after they burned down, they went to the wires, they cut the wires, and they ran out to the forest. These people, we didn't know really where to run. North, east, west, south, we didn't know where to run. We just wanted to run out. So they ran out, and a day or so later, every one of them got cut in the forest, and they brought them back, and they slaughtered them right in front of this crematorium. So now, thanks to these 2 crematoriums down there, which one of them was out. Number 2 was out for about between 4 and 5 weeks. Number 1 was out maybe for 10 days or 2 weeks or even less. All these trains which were coming from Hungary, supposed to go straight to Auschwitz. On the road, they derailed them to another city, and they never came into Auschwitz. And these people never gonna know why they're alive. They're never gonna know if they would have died. They never know nothing. Thanks God for that. Must be maybe, I would say, about half a dozen trains like this in the last few weeks. Thanks to these guys here, which died at these crematoriums by doing it, burning down the crematorium, which they had to stop gassing for a little while, and at least was some revenge against the Nazi oppression.
Because of the efforts of Felix and these brave prisoners, thousands of Jewish lives were spared. In that sense, the uprising designed by Charles Coward was a success.
And I don't believe in angels, and I don't believe in God, and I don't believe all these things. But to me, Charles Coward, he was like an angel.
As a result of the uprising, anyone suspected of involvement was tortured by the SS. Felix was hit so hard and so many times, his eye actually fell out of the socket. Despite his horrible condition, he was able to push it back into the socket and save the eye, but not his vision. The following round of interrogation involved the SS ripping his fingernails off one at a time. Felix would not offer any information and was released to his barracks in a near-death condition. Many others did not survive the torture.
The Germans are not exactly dummies. Little by little, they figured out how the dynamite came to the crematorium. 4 or 5 girls, I remember 5, I think it was 5, were hanged 10 days before the Russians came in Auschwitz, and I was at the hanging.
The Germans dealt swiftly and ruthlessly with those involved in the uprising. Yet through all of this brutality, Felix witnessed something strange.
So all of a sudden I seen a few hundred guys, I think it was 2, 3, 4, at least 400 guys marching out from the crematorium, and lots of Germans with guns, and even a sort of like a tank was behind them. And then we didn't see this before, as long as we were in Auschwitz, a group like this should singing. You get clubbed to death or have death just by attacking. Now they sing a song, and that was the song what they were singing.
Sveta pojktan unser trott mir sennen do.
By this time, the Russians were closing in. The SS had orders to demolish Auschwitz and leave no survivors. Close to 100,000 prisoners were assembled to make an 8-day journey on foot. They did not know their destination or their fate upon arrival.
That was the death march. From here, in January 1945, the 18th of January, we marched out 100,000 people here, and that's the time. And that's and we marched still down there, and about 100,000 of us. And how we made it, I still don't know. And in Bratislava was a train waiting for us. There was the first time in about 10 days, a little hot soup and bread. And they packed us in like the herrings in the open cars. So, and they took us in a brothers to Mauthausen. So now we walked out from the train. I said, how the heck is bread laying on the floor? How can bread laying, people which dying for hunger, which dreaming of bread? So how did it? Because about 25% of these people on the train died on the train. They didn't have even a chance to eat that bread. But you know something? I want to tell you guys something. As God is my witness, nobody ever took that bread. And we were dying for a piece of bread, but nobody took that bread because there's people dying, not eating, couldn't eat that bread anymore. And so that was the death march. And then from down there, they took the train, took us right up to Mauthausen, where all of you are going to see it. And from Mauthausen, from the station, we have to walk about 5-6 kilometers, one step at a time. And finally, we came to Mauthausen. They gave us a pig and a shovel to
work.
To work
What miserable
to work
place.
in a mine for rocks, whatever it was. Did they need the rocks? No. They didn't need the rocks. They need to kill more Jews. That's we went down there, and they did. It looks like this, but we have to make pieces out of them because they could sell this to the contractor. Trucks were going out of here. They could bring machines here in 3 months, make more, and we made it in 10 years. We had tools to break him up. These were a little bit too big, but we had tools to, like half of this, quarter of this, whatever. First they were dynamiting, the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you cut it with hummus.
That's it, eh?
Yeah, pigs, hummus, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Loaded on the trucks. The trucks came around. Down there's a road for the trucks to go out, and they were going out from here, and they were selling them, and they just pocketed the money for every truck what we were doing.
The camp at Mauthausen had a reputation for being even more deadly than Auschwitz. Many of the prisoners there were worked or starved to death. Yet many also died in the gas chamber.
place like this?
I don't feel good. No. I don't feel good. Too many memories coming around.
Does it make you think at all how close you were to...
Yes, too close. Sometimes too close. Especially when we came in from Auschwitz to Mauthausen. Oh boy. How much can you take? You do that march, and after the death march is Mauthausen, and after Mauthausen is Melk, and after Melk is another death march. Here for Melk, we start. They took us out 4 o'clock in the morning, and they put us on a boat, go to Linz. In Linz it was assembled. They assembled a few thousand in Linz, and we marched the whole day. Wels, Lambach, Munden, Ebens, I remember these.
When Felix arrived at his last camp, Abenze, he was near death, but still forced to do hard manual labor, digging tunnels in the nearby mountains for the ammunition factories. Felix documents this in his book. Our hunger became so bad that we were crushing the limestone that came out of the tunnels and putting it in our coffee to make it a little bit thick. We were still getting coffee, or something hot and black anyway. In all of Abenze, the grass was gone. We had eaten the grass. All the trees were stripped of bark. The tar was gone from the roofs. That was our only diet for the last 10 days.
Felix, you were saying that perhaps if there was only 2 or 3 more days, you might not have made it. You might not have lasted.
No, 2 more, no, most. I don't think so. I don't think 2 more days, maybe, but I didn't think so. 2 more days, no. 2 more days like 2 years. Because there's nobody to help you. There's nobody to give you a glass of water. See, but everybody was in the same boat. Everybody was dying, left and right. And how long can you go around breathing after all these years? When the Americans came around, all of a sudden, I felt inside me that I can do something with my life. I can at least get some food. So I ran out for some food, and that was a mistake. Boy, oh boy, was that a mistake.
Well, Felix, I don't think we can thank God enough that you're here today.
Yes, that's right. I'll wake up in the morning and if my name is not in the obituary, I'm very happy. Well, what can you do? You know what? If there is somebody upstairs, maybe I should thank him. But if there isn't, I thank him also. But we did not believe in God when we were in the camps. No way. But then again, you take from another side. God thinks, if there is God thinks that, do I only have to serve the poor one, the miserable one, the one which cannot make it? That's why the saying goes. God helps them who helps themselves, right? I think I like this one. All this here is a mass grave. All the bodies were found, and inside, there must be here been, I would say, about 10,000 bodies or so, at least. 3,000 bodies were died after the liberation. Shema Israel, I don't know, and Heinu, I don't know, I hot. Okay, Rudy, you say yours. Amen.
After being liberated, Felix settled in Gmunden, Austria. After a long and interesting series of events and a continued fight for survival, he met his wife Regina. They married in 1947 and stayed in Europe until 1949. Shortly after the birth of their first daughter, Felix and Regina moved to Toronto, Canada. They still live there and have 4 children, 5 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren.
I guess I can only say one more thing, what I'm saying for quite a few years. I was just darn lucky, and that's all. That's the bottom line.